We're talking to Will Blackman. He's joining us now, Super Bowl champ, NFL veteran, 10 NFL seasons. Will, did you ever have it? He's also drinking his protein shake out of a wine glass because, of course, he is the wine MVP. Thanks for joining us, Will. Did you ever have an injury like that during your career?
Did I ever have an injury? I had 9 surgeries. Are you kidding me? I survived the NFL, but I had three knee surgeries, 2 ACLs. One I had to do revise. I had 2 foot injuries, like 4 hand. Look at this finger. This thing is ruined.
Oh
Look at
God.
that. See the difference? Look at that. It's looks like an alligator. Yes, lots of injuries. Y'all are ridiculous.
So that being said, do you like this addition of Allen Robinson to the Rams?
I absolutely love it. I was with A-Rob in Jacksonville, and I just saw how insanely talented he was going against him as a rookie during one-on-ones. And I just knew he had that big playability. You saw what he did at Penn State. He had that famous jump ball in one of those games. But, yeah, he's absolutely elite talent. I'm just so happy he has an elite quarterback. He has an elite play caller, and he went and got some elite dollars in LA, and it's the perfect fit. I know Cooper Kupp is like beyond ecstatic because he's going to ball out again. So this is absolutely perfect. Just another the target that Stafford needs, that McVay needs to take a shot over the top, no doubt.
So some news out of Green Bay. Devontae Adams is no longer there. So this is where I'm at on Green Bay, and then I'll ask you. I don't think that they can really be in the Super Bowl conversation anymore. I don't think that they are getting the proper criticism for how catastrophic the end of this past season was. I think we kind of just glazed over it because Aaron Rodgers won the MVP, and it's like, he's just the greatest.
That's nothing to glaze over. That's a big deal.
Yeah, it's great. If you're into regular season awards, it's awesome. I'm not discrediting the impact of winning back-to-back MVPs. Aaron Rodgers is a first ballot Hall of Famer. He will go down as one of the greatest to ever play this game. He is legendary talent, but he is not a postseason quarterback at this point in his career.
But having that Hall of Fame talent, does that not give you a chance? Especially the way he's still playing.
Of course they have a chance. Yeah. They have a chance. But can you really look at this roster? And now you lose the number 1 wide receiver in the league in Devontae Adams, and certainly the biggest target for Aaron Rodgers and the only one that he trusted. So when you look at the roster outside of Aaron Rodgers, are they really Super Bowl contenders?
No, absolutely, because they have a top 5 defense, right? The defense was outstanding last year, and they have a really good backfield. And now Aaron will be forced to throw to somebody else. That was the issue in the playoffs. Like, he was just targeting Devontae the whole time. There's plenty of receivers in free agency. There's plenty of receivers in the draft. So I think, they looked at that like, hey, let's just get more talent around. Let's just reload. Obviously, you cannot get a Devontae Adams. That's really difficult. But there's a lot of talent out there we can reload, and he has a lot of ability to make plays. So I think, depending on who they get, what moves they make, via free agency and draft, that's going to be a big deal. But, yeah, I think just having the quarterback and having the defense, they're definitely in Super Bowl contention, no doubt.
I think you're being optimistic. Baker Mayfield, once out of Cleveland, they have said no, they're not going to trade him. I think Baker Mayfield is a completely average quarterback. I think he makes way more noise and has a much bigger brand than he is a good football player and a good franchise quarterback. But what is your take on
That's not his fault.
It's never Baker's fault. What's not his fault? What's not his fault?
Because, listen, you have to understand. Okay, here's the thing. When Baker was drafted, they literally gave that man the keys to the city. LeBron left, Baker, come save the day. They gave him the keys to the city. They allowed him to go to the podium and talk about other players' contracts and injuries. They allowed that to happen. They created this beast, this guy. They created all that. And I think that's what happened. That's initially what happened. And then overall, so here's what's interesting too. When they made all those moves and they had a bunch of players, I was speaking to a coach and he was like, look, we are super talented. And he said, the one thing I am nervous about, I am so nervous about the culture. And I think just from the top down, from the front office, management, all that, I think that's what happened is that they allowed this culture to be like this, where it's awkward. A lot of the good players are now gone, and apparently he wants out. So it's like they've been talented. They just never had the right culture to be as competitive as they should be. Like, I feel like this is the most underachieved team in the NFL, especially who they had the past couple of years.
I'm not going to argue with you about the culture, but I don't think that it's someone's fault if they're given a runway and then they set it on fire.
And Baker's a spread quarterback. You got him in a play action system where it's a system he has to drop back, and this guy has to get the ball. Oklahoma, he spread offense. Let's sling it around. Let's this the ball around, all that stuff. So he's a victim of the system. He's a victim of what happened in the front office.
Oh my gosh, Will. I know.
Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong.
We don't have enough time to get into all of the reasons why you're wrong, but it's your
one with
opinion.
Will. We'll talk about it then.
I disagree because I want to ask you about Deshaun Watson as well.
Yes.
I think that when you look at Atlanta and you look at New Orleans, they're both kind of flawed on the fields. Like they have some spaces that they obviously need to improve. The Saints have a new head coach this year. They're moving on from Sean Payton. I think Atlanta overall is the better situation for Deshaun Watson. We're going to find out in the next couple of days where he decides to go. But where do you think is a better landing spot for Deshaun Watson?
Yeah, I 100% think it's Atlanta. Simply because he's still young. He's still in his late 20s. And they're in the process of already rebuilding with a new GM, with the new coach from last year. They were competitive last year despite having, an average roster. And so I think this is the right move for them. New Orleans it's so, you just don't know. It's so unpredictable what they're going to do in the next few years. So I think Atlanta is a perfect spot. And then obviously if he goes there, then Matt Ryan's going to have to move. And I think for Matt Ryan, where he is in his career, I think Indy is the absolute most perfect spot for him to go to.
We're talking to Will Blackman, Joy Taylor, and from Colin Cowherd on The Herd. So I'm glad you mentioned Indy. I agree with you on Atlanta, so there we go. We agree on something today. I am not a huge fan.
We not agree on stuff.
Everything so far. I'm not a huge. It's not that I'm not a huge fan of Carson Wentz. I just don't think Carson Wentz is as good as people perceive him to be. We have seen enough evidence at this point. He's on his third team now. Both exits have been ugly, but I do think this was a great move for the Washington Commanders. I think it was an upgrade, and I think this makes them very viable in that division.
Yeah, the hard thing with Carson Wentz is, and I played against him that year where he was, like an MVP candidate, like he was going all out and was really talented. He is super talented. He checks the box and everything you want in terms of quarterback. The hardest thing for him is his accountability. He's so reckless at times in terms of like putting his body at risk. You don't know if he's going to legit be there. Well, he was there all games, but he was playing hurt a lot. So that's the thing. You have to be super careful. You don't know. And in Washington, unfortunately, FedEx Field is not the prettiest place to play and protect your health. So, but him being in that division, it's wide open, right? It changed hands the past, 16 years? Like there's never been a consistent back-to-back winner in that division. So them getting Carson in a division he's super familiar with, I think they definitely have a chance because Washington is a team where they literally are a quarterback away from making a deep run in the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. I like a lot that goes on in Washington on the field.
The energy is better there. Ron went in there, Riverboat Ron went in there and cleaned some things up.
Yeah, I mean, there's still some issues upstairs, but I'm with you on Ron. I love Ron Rivera. So speaking of a tough division is the AFC West. It's the best division in football now, and now the Raiders have just added Devontae Adams. Everyone's discussing how they're going to rank quarterbacks in that division. How do you rank the quarterbacks in that division, and who do you think at this point right now is at the top?
Well, Mahomes is king, right?
Right.
Mahomes for sure. Russell. So everyone, I know. Here's the thing: Russell he definitely gives you a chance, and he has like the pedigree. Like he's definitely who you want, but it's so hard not to put Herbert. I understand Russell had a Super Bowl, but that was like a decade ago. But Herbert right now is like this. He might be one of the scariest quarterbacks in the entire NFL. So I'm gonna go Herbert too, and then I'm gonna go Carr 3, Russell 4. As I sit in my shake.
We're talking to Will Blackman. I mean, it really is.
Russell's new to that division. He hasn't seen it yet. He's new.
Because he hasn't been playing in the NFC.
And Derek
West
Carr
this whole
just
time.
got his home Devontae. It's different.
Well, I think the division has changed because of that move. Because the Raiders were just kind of regulated to being the last team in that division. But now they've added Devontae Adams. I think that changes things. I think
and Chandler, that was a big deal.
And
too.
Chandler, yes, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
It's splitting hairs after Mahomes. I think everyone's going to have Mahomes at the top as they should. But I have Russ second because of the Super Bowl and because of his consistency. I do think at some point, I know we have the discussion, wins and losses are not a quarterback stat, which I don't entirely agree with. But at some point, you do have to translate that talent that you have into winning. Like, I think the Chargers have to make the playoffs this season. Like, this is a season
Denver
where
has
Justin
to make the
Herbert
playoffs.
needs. Denver does, but I also think that the Chargers need to do something. They made a lot of
They
moves.
They made some insane moves, no doubt about it. But I think for Russell individually, this has to be a big year for him. For just almost like how I know he has a Super Bowl win, but that was like more so like he was young, the team was outstanding. But in terms of like the individual accolades, I think this is huge for Russell. Like he has to go into Denver and like go nuts and ball out. Like he has to.
I agree.
He promised 4 Super Bowls in Denver, so he has to get it done.
I agree. I think that Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers have poured on a whole nother layer of expectations on their career for the next couple years with the noise.
Aaron
did.
No, he did not.
Oh, here you go. You know what? I should expect this from you, but Will, let's be honest, okay? Aaron kicked up a lot of dust this past year. All right, it was a lot of drama, it was a lot of stuff. All right, there was a lot of stuff, and then he went and got that contract. Did it? Because they lost in their first playoff game at home against a wild card team.
Happens.
It happens. I can't.
Hey, you win some, you lose some. Y'all are athletes, you know that.
Yes, that's exactly how they looked at it. Oh, you win some, you lose some. I can't. You don't think that Aaron Rodgers has extra pressure on him going into the next 2 years?
He has absolute zero pressure. Like he actually, the fact that this happened and people are like, how is he going to be without Devontae? He's going to go ball out again. Every time people go off on Aaron, he goes out and plays super well. So there's no extra added pressure. Like in terms of like his career, like what has he not done? Okay, he hasn't won 2 Super Bowls, but he has all the MVPs, all the pros. He won Super Bowl already. Like there's no pressure. There's no pressure on this man.
I adamantly disagree.
Y'all need to stop and leave him alone. There's no pressure.
Leave Aaron alone.
All right.
There is pressure on Aaron Rodgers. There absolutely is. He's the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, coming off of the noisiest season.
Rightfully so.
Remember.
No.
Back-to-back MVPs and not one playoff win in this year's playoffs. So there's just definitely pressure. And now you lost Devontae Adams, so the situation has changed. There's definitely pressure on Aaron Rodgers. Is he going to go down as one of the greatest regardless of how the rest of his career goes? Yes. But will he have underachieved since that Super Bowl? Yes. Based off the talents and the expectations that he created, yes.
The team has underachieved, but he has not underachieved.
Aaron Rodgers is a victim of the Green Bay Packers, right?
Well, everyone yelled at McCarthy. They said it was his fault. Everyone yelled at McCarthy. They said it was his fault.
Yeah, it was. I said it was McCarthy's fault. Okay, you're the best, Will. What's in the protein shake?
I don't know. I told you I had just a regular packet because I was rushed to get on this show.
Well, I appreciate you joining us. Do you have a wine you want to plug? The wine MVP. Will is
I don't have any wine I want to plug. All right, you got me riled up now.
He's so spicy
right now. You got me riled. So right when y'all are kicking me off. By the way, when can I ask Dave? When can I come do the news? Because Colin likes to take this off. By the way, Colin tried to call me out on the show saying like I fanboyed when it was him who fanboyed. He was like, "Oh, Al Michaels, that was my hero." And I was like, I want to get a selfie. And he made it seem like I was desperate. Like, all right.
I'm going to tell Colin you said that, Will.
You can.
And I fanboyed when I met Al Michaels. It's okay to fanboy when you meet Al Michaels. It's acceptable.
No doubt. But he was the one that lost his mind. And the funny thing, too, when I called him to meet up, he was like, I'm working out. I was like, you don't work out, dude. Cut it out.
Colin works out every day. He lifts weights.
Man, all right.
I'm going to tell Colin you were spicy when he wasn't on.
So spicy.
Thank you so much for joining us. We'll make sure you follow Will on social media and the Wine MVP. Thanks, Will.
Bye, Joy, and the happiest person in the world.
Alex
Cheers.
Curry.